is, it's a reasonably common one. How do you respond to the question, did God create evil? I mean, God created the devil. So how do we respond to that?
So there's a philosopher here who'll correct everything terrible that I say. But in many respects, what Christians would say, and Christians of every stripe would say, that God didn't create evil, but he created a potentiality for evil. So evil isn't a thing that exists in and of itself. It's not a substance that's there. Evil is a disorder of the good. It's a corruption of the good. And so in God creating good people, but with the capacity and freedom to be able to choose either to go in line with the way that they've been designed or to go against that. He created the conditions upon which evil could come about, but he's the originator only of good and of the freedom to be able to live in line with that or otherwise. So God didn't create evil.
Yeah, it goes back to that question of that Dan touched on, the idea of free will in this presentation. In order to have free will, there has to be the freedom to choose, and that means the freedom to choose that which isn't good. Because without that free will, there can be no love. And although atheism, I think their strongest argument probably is the question of evil. That would be my personal take on it. I think Christianity does have a robust response in the notion that God creates us free, and that means that we have to accept that we will live with the paradox of the suffering and evil that can come about as a result of those choices.
Okay, so I'll just add to this. I think God, as Christians, I believe God created everything. I believe God foresees everything. So everything that happens in the world, in some sense, you have to say God is the cause of. God could stop any evil that occurs. So I think you need to be a little bit careful about having a response to the problem of evil which says God really isn't the creator, or he's not really the sustainer, or he's not really omniscient. A few years ago I was at a Bible college, and I remember there was a case nearby where a little girl crawled into a drain and was drowned. And a very well-meaning lecturer said, God didn't cause this, it was a total accident. Now you think of the view of providence you'd have to have, the view of God you'd have to have. Did God not know the baby was in the drain? Did God not know that was going to happen? Did God not have the power to take the baby out of the drain? Any skeptic's going to respond that way. So I think you have to admit that to some extent God, anything that happens, God could prevent. But you do need to draw a distinction between saying that God allows something, causes something, brings something about, with the claim that therefore God is somehow culpable or guilty or bad. Simply bringing something about or allowing something to happen doesn't make you an evil person unless you do it without some good reason, or there's reasons are bad, or you don't allow this thing to happen for some greater cause or what have you. So before, even if you grant that in some sense God creates evil, that doesn't create a problem until you append to that the idea that God has no reason for doing it, or there's no greater purpose in evil or anything like that. So I would engage them on that level. I would say, well, look, let's get this idea of what you mean by God creates evil, and then ask the question, so what? Let's suppose God is in some sense the originator of this. Why would that be a problem? That would only be a problem if he has no greater purpose or no greater good served by that. Why do you think he doesn't have some greater good?
We hope you enjoyed this presentation. Please consider supporting us to get more content just like this. Visit support.thinkingmatters.org.nz or click in the link in the description. If you really enjoyed this topic and would like to go further in depth, I would recommend purchasing Why Does God Allow Evil by Clay Jones. Dr. Jones examines what Scripture truly says about the nature of evil and why God allows it. Along the way, he'll help you discover the contrasting abundance of God's grace, the overwhelming joy of heaven, and the extraordinary destiny of believers. We stock this book in our online store, which you can find a link to in the description.